The guest is Dr. Al-Hadid, and the topic is the great debate, President Barack Obama. And Dr. Al-Hadid, I think you've given us some information relative to the whole situation of race as far as President Obama is concerned. Let's look at another very, very unusual, controversial area, and that is religion. Now, what about the great debate and his religion?
Well, you know, when you look at the life of President Obama, his father was Muslim from Kenya, the Luo ethnic group there in Kenya. And then his stepfather, you know, his mother was married twice, was Indonesian. He was also Muslim. So I think for the first, well, let's say the first 12 years of his life, he was exposed to the Islamic faith. Now, his mother, on the other hand, was not committed to any religion. She was basically an anthropologist. She saw that religion was expression of culture, and he was exposed to a wide range of religion: Buddhism, Hinduism, Shintoism, traditional African religion. So he grew up not really being totally committed to any religion. But as he started working as a community organizer and started working through his core values and beliefs, he realized that he needed to be grounded in a community. So as you know, he eventually ended up attending the church of Reverend Jeremiah Wright, Reverend Dr. Jeremiah Wright, Trinity United Church of Christ. And not only was he able to work out his spiritual journey, but to deal with his identity crisis, because Jeremiah Wright is what I might call a black Christian nationalist, same line of thinking as James Cone and some of the others along those lines. So as he went to the church, now he stayed with Jeremiah Wright for about 20 years. His wife attended the church, his children were baptized there, he was baptized there. So he became committed to Christianity. And I think it's inappropriate for people to keep labeling him as Muslim when he's not.
Especially when he's been in the church, in the Christian church for the last 20 years.
Yes,
you know, and some people leave the impression as if he just ran across Reverend Wright a couple of years, last year or something.
Right,
on the campaign, you see. But he was involved with that.
He was involved in the church for at least 20 years. Now, I think maybe when he first went to the church, he might have been looking for an institution that could help him with his community organizing, or he might have been looking for an institution that could help him get votes, because you know, he ran and was successful in becoming a state senator in Illinois. In fact, he was a senator in Illinois for 10 years. And so it could have been for those reasons. But then eventually, you know, he got in that environment and he saw something in the black Christian church that he didn't see in the other churches. Now, there was some background. You know, his mother came out of a Methodist, his grandmother rather, came out of a Methodist background, and his grandfather, who they were both white, came out of a Baptist background. But when they left Kansas and went to Hawaii, they no longer practiced this religion. So they just basically were good people, core values that were based on Christianity, but they were not churchgoers. And he wanted something different for himself, because as you know, most of his life, he had this identity crisis. I mean, he saw himself as being African American, but he didn't fit well among African Americans. When he left Hawaii, graduated from an elite school there in Hawaii, and then went to Occidental College in Los Angeles. He didn't fit in well there, and then he left and went to Columbia University, where he was able to move around in Harlem and see all the various ethnic groups. And it's when he went to Chicago that he was able to resolve his spiritual issues as well as, you know, his ethnic issues, and became more whole in that sense. So I view him as a practicing Christian, even though he doesn't wear it on his sleeve. His core values, his beliefs, and his morals are rooted in that. And of course, I think there is some Islamic influence there, in light of the fact that he spent the formative years of his life in an Islamic environment. You can sort of see that in his character. But he's more closer to a relationship with Christ than with an institutional church. Christ, as he preached to his apostles, you know, when he was on the planet, you know, is that type of Christian.
And so in the great debate, you see him within the framework of being a Christian,
right,
as you've indicated, and primarily because of choice, in a real sense.
Yes. And he wasn't. He said in his autobiography, and also The Audacity of Hope, which is more or less his philosophical treatise. He said in both those cases that he was not emotionally converted; that it was a choice that he made, based on a rational decision. Now, as we come to the great debate with regards to religion and trying to put them in a context, in our community there are three religions that are pretty much dominant. They are Christianity, and most of our people are either Baptists or Methodists or Catholics, and then that's Islam. Either Nation of Islam, mainstream Islam, or Sufism. And then we also have some of our people who are practicing traditional African religion. So within the context of traditional African religion, Islam and Christianity, he chose Christianity as his worldview. But not just mainstream Christianity, but the Christianity that comes out of the African American church. And when you look at that, you're talking about a Christianity that's based on the social gospel, or Christianity that strives to liberate people
and improve
the quality of self-help. You know, because when you take Christianity back to the days of slavery, you had abolitionists who were Christian, you know, like Nat Turner and Frederick Douglass. They came out of the Christian, background. Mainly, the Baptists and the Methodists, these were the two groups that presented Christianity to African Americans.
And so these are the two pillars so far. You talked about race and religion that sort of supports Mr. Obama, President Obama.
Right, and religion is playing such a dominant role in the body of politics today, because when you look at the conservatives, especially the right, you have the Christian right and you have the Republican conservative. A lot of them are connected with the evangelical movement. And it was the evangelical movement that got President Bush in power twice. And if you go all the way back to Ronald Reagan and Bush, the father of Bush, it was the evangelical movement. And they have gotten recently involved in politics because of their core issues, like abortion, being against gay marriages, and those type of things. So their pet issues are being presented by these politicians, and they're concerned about who's going to be on the Supreme Court, and they want to know what that candidate's position is on abortion. So religion and politics now are starting to overlap and merge. Even though we have the First Amendment to separate them, it's very difficult now to separate institutional religion from institutional politics.
And of course, let us take the topic is the